league's response just coming out right away and getting that investigation going?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, they understand that this is the priority. Obviously, there's no place for this, and they preach. I think 2 days before they put out no hate, no speech. And obviously, the women in this league, they know that, and know there's no space for that. And I believe that every player in this league deserves to be treated with respect and want to come to work and just have fun and have a great environment to work at. So I think they've done a great job putting that out, and we're obviously just going to respond if they need to.
Were you able to get?
Did you hear this? Angel Reese just claimed she faced hate speech because fans in Indiana booed her. Yes, you heard that right, booing. The sound that's been a part of sports since forever. According to Reese and her crew, that wasn't just crowd noise. It was a full-blown attack straight from the stands, putting the entire WNBA on blast. They're calling this a serious breach, making it sound like a federal offense to disapprove of an opposing player.
Well, we've got a couple of different clips here. One is just coming out, just surfacing, and it's Angel Reese speaking to the media. Sort of. And you may be like, sort of? Well, yeah, an actual responsible media would have asked follow-up questions, and any organizations that had any worth to them would allow said questions to be asked.
It's honestly wild. Give it up for Angel Reese, the latest recipient of, well, the opposite of applause. This is the same Angel Reese who built her entire brand on being the villain, who strutted around like she owned that role. And now she's utterly appalled, shocked that fans booed her in an away arena, playing against the league's biggest star. The horror, the injustice, the sheer trauma of hearing sounds you don't like. It's truly astonishing how quickly the I embrace the villain persona flips to everyone's being unfair to me. Seems like in this new world, every single reaction from the crowd, positive or negative, is taken as a deep personal statement against her.
You notice how the reporters ask those questions, framing it in a way like this is all fact, like these things all happened? These guys are all soft. All soft. The reporters at Chicago Sky, the reporters at The Athletic, the reporters at New York Times, the reporters over here, the reporters over there, they're all
Now, just to set the scene, Reese got booed when her Chicago Sky faced off against Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever. Look, these games lately feel more like a traveling rock concert than a standard basketball game, but the boos. According to Team Reese, those weren't about the game, the fierce competition, or just normal away crowd energy. No, they claimed the boos were rooted in, drumroll please, racism, of course. Because nowadays, apparently, a simple garden variety sports boo instantly translates to hate speech, especially if it's directed at a player who maybe isn't having the stat line they hoped for. This whole controversy has thrown a huge spotlight on fan behavior, yes, but more importantly, it's asking, where is the line between spirited sportsmanship and weaponizing accusations?
The WNBA is looking into racist comments aimed at Chicago Sky guard Angel Reese.
Today, we are hearing from Reese herself. Tina Nguyen also has team reaction.
In the midst of the WNBA's ongoing investigation of hateful speech from the Sky season opener against Indiana, Angel Reese is keeping her focus forward, adding, quote, "There's no place in this league for that."
What's truly mind-boggling is the mental gymnastics it takes to go from, yeah, I'm the bad guy, I love it, to wait, they don't like me, call HR. Angel Reese aimed to be the WNBA's unapologetic firebrand, the one who keeps it real, But it turns out, playing the villain is only fun when it's on your own terms, right? When playing the villain means actually getting negative reactions, getting booed in hostile territory, suddenly it's a problem. It's unacceptable behavior. Someone needs to file a complaint. It feels like this villain persona is only meant for highlight reels and social media captions, not for the gritty reality of actual competition and fan engagement. The real villain doesn't want confrontation unless it's digitally filtered, packaged perfectly for merch drops, and adds to the brand narrative. This double standard isn't just confusing, it's revealing.
What Angel Reese has been doing looks very weird to a lot of people. So throughout the years, Reese has taunted Clark, and at this point, it's apparent that she is not a huge fan of Caitlin. This came to a point in the previous game where Caitlin Clark flagrantly fouled Reese, and she got super upset with Caitlin and called her crazy. The odd thing is, after all these incidents occur, Angel always acts like she has no issue with Caitlin and she's fine with her. Listen to her post-game response about that foul.
Basketball player, got it right.
And then she goes and posts online as if nothing happens. The caption of her first post is, "My heart is so full," along with another picture of herself smiling in the mirror.
And let's get real for a second. Is anyone else surprised by this sudden outrage over fans having opinions? Especially when those fans just shelled out potentially hundreds of dollars for tickets. Tickets, by the way, they likely bought to see Caitlin Clark play, not to sit through Angel Reese's unsolicited commentary or a lecture on turning envy into empowerment. Fans are there for the basketball. They came to see the game, the skill, the competition, not to be an audience for a personal branding seminar or a crash course in WNBA social dynamics. Expecting respectful support is reasonable, sure, but being genuinely shocked when an opposing crowd boos you, that just doesn't track.
What Angel Reese has been doing looks very weird to a lot of people. So throughout the years, Reese has taunted Clark, and at this point, it's apparent that she is not a huge fan of Caitlin. This came to a point in the previous game where Caitlin Clark flagrantly fouled Reese, and she got super upset with Caitlin and called her crazy. The odd thing is, after all these incidents...
Honestly, Angel Reese has perfected the art of deflection. She deflects criticism, she deflects unwanted attention, and now it seems she's deflecting blame. One moment she's proclaiming, "I'm her rival," referring to Clark, building up the drama. The next, she's questioning why Caitlin Clark is so beloved while she gets hated. This is the same woman who famously waved off Caitlin with that ring gesture in college, absolutely relishing the moment, then doubling down on it after winning the championship. She wanted this rivalry. She built it herself. And now that the fan energy, the natural consequence of building that rivalry, is intensifying, suddenly it's a huge issue? Let's break down the actual on-court stuff everyone's talking about. Angel shoves a Fever player in the back of the head. Caitlin responds with a perfectly legal hip check to draw a foul. Why? Because shockingly, basketball is a contact sport. It's not competitive knitting, but the very next day, despite the physical play initiated on the court, it's suddenly all tears, dramatic TikToks, and accusations of racism and disrespect. The whiplash is enough to give you motion sickness. Angel's actions on the court absolutely set the stage for tension, but the subsequent reaction, the blame shifting, and the attempts to push a particular cultural narrative have spun this far beyond the game itself, showcasing the chaos that comes with high-profile, personality-driven rivalries.
Most people who saw the way Angel's been treating Caitlin, bopping her upside the head, pushing her down in another game, taunting her in another game in college, talking slick about her in the media, and the one time Caitlin lays a finger on you, you flop and then get up and act like you in the projects in Baltimore and somebody just sliced your face with a razor or something.
Look, I don't want to dismiss genuine issues of racism or discrimination when they happen. They are real and important, but labeling every single negative fan reaction, like booing, as racism, that doesn't just water down real cases of discrimination, it drowns them if the worst thing that happened to you was fans booing. Welcome to professional sports. LeBron James gets booed in Boston constantly. Philadelphia fans are legendary for being tough on opponents and even their own team. That's called home court advantage. It's passionate fan bases. It's not racism. Instead of just accepting this basic reality of pro sports, Angel Reese and her supporters ran straight to social media to completely reframe the moment. They reposted, they shared, they tried to woke wash it into a social justice tragedy. It honestly felt like they were just waiting for an excuse to be offended, like they had the "we got mistreated" tweet drafted and ready to go the moment the crowd supported Caitlin Clark loudly. And here's the kicker. Reese's fan base has spent weeks online attacking Caitlin Clark, mocking her, belittling her achievements, questioning her every move. That apparently is just part of the game, part of the rivalry energy. But the moment the tide turns, the moment the other team's fans get loud and supportive, suddenly the crowd is toxic, the environment is unsafe. The WNBA needs to intervene. What happened to "it's just basketball"? Funny how that phrase only seems to apply when Angel Reese is winning the narrative.
So does the response, revealing a double standard that undermines the sport's integrity.
Yeah, there's no place for that in our game. There's no place for that in society. And, certainly we want every person that comes into our arena, whether player, whether fan, to have a great experience. So, hopefully the investigation, we'll leave that up to them to find anything and take it.
So what exactly is Caitlin Clark's great offense here? Existing, breathing, being so incredibly talented that her name alone packs arenas to the rafters. Every time she touches the ball, ticket prices spike. She isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon, an economic force driving unprecedented attention to the WNBA. And instead of celebrating the fact that finally more people are paying attention to women's basketball, what do we hear from some corners? Players complaining because, gasp, she's stealing the spotlight. Like that isn't literally the entire point of having superstars. And these calls to punish the Indiana Fever fans for cheering for their team and booing the opponent, that's genuinely hilarious. The same league that has been practically begging for full arenas and mainstream attention now wants to silence the very fans who are bringing in viewers, boosting ratings, and creating energy. That's like McDonald's deciding to ban the Big Mac because people like it too much. Honestly, if Angel Reese had an ounce of self-awareness, she'd realize that a massive chunk of her current rising fame is because she's tied to Caitlin Clark. Without Clark driving this insane level of attention, Reese would likely still be a solid, promising rookie on a decent team, but instead, she's national headlines, getting interviews, sparking social media wars. Her star is ascendant largely due to Clark's presence. All this attention, all this drama, it's not just about basketball anymore. It's about the incredible power of a true star, and Caitlin Clark is, without question, the biggest star in women's hoops right now.
This stat is embarrassing. The WNBA did not start playing basketball till Caitlin Clark joined the league. She's got 3 triple-doubles through 41 games. That's the 3rd most all-time. She hasn't even played 50 games yet, and she's already 3rd all-time in triple-doubles. Like, were they not playing before she joined?
Here's the simple media math. Controversy equals engagement, and nobody understands that equation better than Angel Reese's fan base, which has successfully turned Caitlin Clark into a lightning rod for every grievance they've ever collectively harbored. It's not enough that Clark plays the game with skill and flair. No, they seem to need her to suffer, to fail, to somehow grovel at the altar of their built-up resentment. You'd think Reese winning a college championship, getting drafted high in the WNBA, landing major endorsements, and having a fiercely loyal fan base would be enough, but apparently not. The simple fact that Clark exists and is succeeding is just too much to bear. It's pure, distilled jealousy, bottled up, shaken vigorously, and sprayed courtside. Let's make sure we understand the new rules being written in real time. Booing is now racism, playing tough defense is violence, and outperforming someone is oppression. Got it. Just checking the rulebook here, because it seems to be getting rewritten daily by folks who might have skipped Logic 101 in high school, but definitely aced TikTok trend analysis. At this rate, the WNBA might need to offer a mandatory seminar titled How to Handle Being Second Best Without Starting a Twitter War. Or maybe even a support group, Athletes Jealous of Clark Anonymous. First meeting hosted by Angel Reese. Guest speakers TBD, because honestly, this relentless obsession with tearing Clark down only screams one thing: how much her talent and popularity threaten those who just can't keep up by focusing on the game. Instead of celebrating excellence and rising to the challenge, it seems some prefer to just try and drown it in negativity and controversy.
With these attention-seeking strategies all ending in huge embarrassing failure, perhaps Angel Reese thought the best way to satisfy her unending desire to be validated was to win pretend basketball games in the WNBA. But the problem with this strategy, Angel Reese is not an impact player.
The bottom line, if you step into the spotlight, you better be ready for the heat. If you claim the villain role, don't act shocked when the crowd treats you like one. And if every single time the fans don't shower you with adoration, you throw a very public fit, maybe consider a career change. Theater might be a better fit, at least there, booing is practically part of the tradition. Meanwhile, what's Caitlin Clark doing? Shockingly, she's just doing her job, showing up, sinking shots, breaking records, and cashing those well-earned endorsement checks. All the while, she's single-handedly dragging the WNBA kicking and screaming into the mainstream, making bigger waves than the league has seen in decades. But instead of celebrating this seismic shift and the player making it happen, guess what some people want to focus on? The booing, because nothing screams support women's sports like tearing down the athlete who's literally putting women's sports on the map. Now, the drama has truly reached Broadway levels. Commentators, influencers, and social media philosophers are lecturing the public as if Caitlin Clark committed some kind of act of war. by simply, and brace yourself for this, being the fan favorite. Apparently playing well and being cheered for is now a controversial act. She should probably be canceled for making game-winning shots and not sobbing mid-dribble. Angel Reese fans have decided that facts are optional, feelings are gospel, and booing is a microaggression equivalent to a hate crime. According to this logic, if an entire stadium doesn't give Angel a standing ovation every single time she jogs down the court, it is proof of systemic oppression. Forget scoreboards, forget stats, forget competition. This is about vibes. You either vibe with Angel and her narrative, or you're labeled a bigot. That's the choice they present. Support her, or be branded a hater. It's a spectacle that has far more to do with emotion, identity politics, and manufactured outrage than it does with actual basketball.
And then Angel Reese goes into, oh, I'll be happy to play the villain role. I'll be happy to play the villain, but don't be mean to me. Don't be mean to me. But I'll be happy to play the villain role because in 20 years, I'll look back and say, yeah, they're not just watching because of one player. They're watching because of me too. And I want y'all to realize, great.
And this whole she's just speaking her truth narrative? Sure, if truth now means twisting a few standard sports boos in a heated rivalry game into a monumental injustice and an act of hatred, then congratulations. You've just won an Oscar for best performance in a delusional drama. The crowd didn't throw tomatoes. They didn't chant slurs. They booed. Plain, simple. Welcome to professional sports where noise, passion, and yes, sometimes negativity towards the opposing team are part of the game. If the audience was silent, that would be weird. Instead, we've apparently entered the era of competitive victimhood, where if you can't win on the court, you pivot to winning the sympathy Olympics off it. Why dive for rebounds when you can dive onto a press conference table and cry about injustice? Forget strategic plays. We're doing pick and feels. Angel Reese isn't just a forward anymore. She's first team all emotional turbulence. The pearl clutching from her supporters over Caitlin Clark's supposed lack of support, or her silence about the booing, is almost laughable. What exactly is Caitlin supposed to say? Hey guys, please stop rooting for me so hard, it's hurting someone's feelings. Should she issue a national apology every time a crowd cheers louder for her than the opponent? Or maybe a public confession? I, Caitlin Clark, am guilty of being good at basketball while white. Sentence me to 20 lashes with a WNBA headband. This obsession with victimhood narratives and identity politics has completely overshadowed the actual sport, turning what should be a celebration of skill and competition into a spectacle of performative drama.
With the exaggeration.
Caitlin Clark described it perfectly after the game. It's a take foul.
Yeah.
It's going to be a layup if I don't go in. I'm clearly going for the ball.
That's what you do.
It's a common foul in basketball. Now, if she tied her up and, slung her, did a hip sling and threw her to the ground or something and was excessive, then yeah, I'd understand the reaction from Angel Reese on it. But there's no reason to react that way. You know exactly what's going on. You're doing a power dribble going to the basket. Someone's going to come to the side and go for the ball, but grab your arm where you can't make the shot, and you're going to get 2 free throws. So there was nothing abnormal about.
Let's not pretend for a second that this is about justice or fairness or bravely calling out real racism. No. This is classic textbook jealousy. Caitlin Clark is out there breaking records like it's light work, bringing unprecedented attention and money into the league. While, let's be honest, Angel Reese is stuck doing PR damage control because she can't consistently outshine Caitlin Clark with just rebounds and an attitude. It's less a rivalry, more like a soap opera where the villain leaves nasty Yelp reviews instead of plotting anything truly threatening. The Clark-Reese matchup could have been legendary. Think Bird versus Magic, but women's hoops. Instead, it's devolved into a parody of insecurity, with every single Caitlin Clark highlight clip being analyzed like the Zapruder film by those desperate to find a reason to be offended. It's way less about basketball and way more about feelings-driven revenge and online validation. We're probably just a TikTok away from Angel Reese dramatically whispering into a mic, she took my spotlight and my serotonin. And how is the league reacting to all this drama? Instead of fully embracing the players who are finally drawing in millions of new eyes, the WNBA is reportedly busy investigating fan behavior like it's a full-blown congressional hearing. If they keep treating loud, passionate fans who are actually attending games as liabilities instead of the assets they are, they're going to end up playing in those half-empty libraries again pretty soon. This obsession with policing fan reactions, with analyzing every boo and every cheer for perceived slights, undermines the sport's organic growth and turns what should be a celebration of athleticism into a spectacle of bitterness and misplaced censorship.
Walk me through your perspective on the flagrant foul. What was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, you know? Either Angel gets wide open 2 points or, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It's just a good take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
She just completely embarrassed Angel Reese. Like people need to stop lying and gaslighting. Let's leave the race out of it.
Meanwhile, guess what Caitlin Clark is doing? She's still just dribbling because she seems to understand that the game is fundamentally about playing basketball, while others are busy crafting elaborate social media narratives, drafting think pieces, and probably starting change.org petitions because a crowd didn't clap loudly enough for someone's free throws. Clark is focused on making ESPN highlights and winning games, and the absurdity just keeps escalating. Now, there's genuine online chatter about how Caitlin Clark is marketed too much. Oh, the sheer tragedy. A wildly talented, popular athlete gaining massive popularity and endorsement deals. Quick, call the Injustice Hotline. It's almost as if excelling at your chosen craft naturally leads to success and opportunities. Who knew? That's just how capitalism and meritocracy generally work. If Angel's team or any team wants a bigger slice of that massive pie Clark is creating, maybe the answer is to elevate their play on the court instead of whining through media outlets and social media. You don't see Aja Wilson throwing shade every time Clark lands another huge endorsement. You don't see established veterans melting down on Instagram because Clark's fans exist and are loud. Why? Because true professionals focus on their performance, not on playing the victim or tearing down the competition. But Angel's version of strong woman energy seems to involve swinging at players on the court and then immediately demanding a safe space off the court when the reaction isn't what she wanted. And let's not forget the initial incident that really blew the lid off this recently. The game where Angel shoved a player from behind, then was physically but legally bodied by Caitlin, and now wants to completely rewrite that entire exchange as if she was the one unfairly attacked on live television. That shove was blatant, intentional, and unnecessary. It wasn't subtle, yet when Clark responded the way any competitor would, within the rules of the game, Angel pivoted instantly to a Shakespearean tragedy queen. Woe is me. I was merely existing while tall and fabulous, and she dared to guard me. This entire spectacle distracts completely from the sport's true essence: competition, skill, focus, and heart, while actively fueling narratives of victimhood, melodrama, and misplaced outrage.
The last time we spoke about the Indiana Fever in a post-game manner, what was the title of that video? Caitlin Clark flirts with a triple-double. Well, the regular season is here, and we have no more time for flirting, folks. We have no more time. It's time to get serious about our business. And Caitlin Clark handled her business game 1. 20, 10, and 10. 20, 10, and 10. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, what did the kids say? Belt to ass.
The ultimate irony in all this, nobody is actually trying to cancel Angel Reese. She's doing just fine. She's on commercials, she has millions of fans, she's a household name now. Yet she seems fundamentally unable to accept the fact that she's not right now the main focus. And that frustration is palpable. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, she doesn't need to say a word about any of this drama. Her silence on the nonsense combined with her performance on the court honestly speaks volumes. That's the real issue, isn't it? Clark wins with skill, effort, and quiet confidence, while some others seem to feel they have to shout just to get attention. Here's a crazy thought. Instead of trying to tear down your competition, how about focusing that energy on improving your own game? No matter how many times you claim racism over being booed, it won't magically score you 30 points or hit buzzer beaters. Complaining on podcasts won't win you MVP awards. You know what does? Dedication, skill, relentless focus, qualities that Caitlin Clark exemplifies. The scoreboard scoreboard doesn't lie. Fans aren't inherently racist for cheering their team and booing the opponent. They're drawn to excellence and genuine competitive spirit. If Angel Reese wants to be loved and celebrated like Clark, the path isn't through playing the victim or creating drama. It's through hard work, skill development, and letting her basketball do the talking. Success in sports comes from performance, period. Not from protests, not from accusations, and definitely not from complaining that someone else is more popular. The true champions understand this. They let their game speak for itself, and Caitlin Clark's quiet confidence on the court proves that louder than any online drama ever could. If you agree that sports should be about skill and competition, not manufactured drama, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our take on the next big sports debate. Check out these videos right here for more commentary cutting through the noise.